All right. I think that we are live. It looks like it's red up in the top left. Hope everybody is doing awesome. It is Thursday night, off-centered. And I told my guests that we literally have 60 minutes or so until the Suns Lakers, or is it 90 minutes? So as much as I want to hang tonight and listen to him just kind of jabber on about nothing, it's not going to be a 2-hour event, fellas and ladies, if there happens to be any ladies. Hello to Alex, Global Sports Card Investor, Pittsburgh. What's up, buddy? Stephen Ryan, Troy, how you doing? Prodigy Card Collector, Mastradamus, Charles, Ziggy, Base Card Collector. I'll go ahead and bring him on.
Another strong intro as usual. Way to build me up. I don't know if I can live up to those expectations.
For anybody that's new here, this is Brad. I'm kind of make out investor. All right.
And this is Dustin, the personal grazing cow. Are you grazing on something today?
This video is sponsored by Great Value Pistachios.
See, guys, I knew it. And of course, it would be Great Value sponsoring you. You got to work your way up to Planters. One day you'll land Planters if you dream big enough.
You know what? All of you, I'm not trying to, I'm not so whatever that I have to have brand names. I don't need to have Gucci, or any of that. Great Value is just fine. Walmart makes great value.
On a serious topic, though, I love generic brands. Generic brands are like the best way to save money. I have a free workout shirt from the place I get my supplements from, which is called bulksupplements.com, which has zero marketing, and it's just giant quantities of protein and different things out of Las Vegas. But I'm a huge fan of anything generic brand because it's just like paying for the actual product versus all the marketing dollars behind it. So you actually get a great value.
Yeah. Speaking of marketing dollars, let me get some Diet Coke to get me through this next hour.
RC.
All right, so quick score check. 51-47 Blazers up over the Nuggets right now with about 4 minutes left in the first half. 51-49.
Yeah, I got the other tab here.
Yeah, go ahead.
And art of the cards trades, yes, not generic brand cards. So especially now we're working towards more specialized, more parallels and variations, and that definitely not generic cards if you want to be able to move them, but generic pistachios for sure.
All right. Brad, what's new in Los Angeles? What have you done this week other than just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling and wondering what you're going to do with your life?
I mean, besides that, there's really not too much time.
That was a lot. That was a lot of the day.
Pondering life. Yeah, that pretty much takes out a good 14 hours of my day. Honestly, the vibe here is all summer. Things are open finally. Everyone's out. The traffic's horrendous, but it's kind of a good horrendous because it actually means movement. Just obviously thinking about the card market, I think it's a very unique time. I think it's a great time, depending if you believe in the future of the card market. So looking at a lot of deals, but just pretty much getting the last couple cards ready for football season and whenever that's going to start ticking up. I have enjoyed watching playoff sports. I will say that. I did not watch any NBA throughout the year because it was just so many games. They were all meaningless. Half the starters were injured or resting. There was a lot of other things to do. And now I'm actually enjoying watching some NBA playoffs, watching NHL playoffs, and just being able to enjoy the sports for what it is. But that's pretty much it, man. And then one weird thing this week, I did not think it was possible to have a pimple on your earlobe, but these masks that I wear, I guess I didn't wash one enough. I got a zit on my earlobe, and I didn't know that was possible. So I discovered that this week.
You throw some Noxzema
exciting week.
You throw some Noxzema on it like it's 95.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Remember those pads? Oh yeah, you were born in 2000. So they used to have these Noxzema pads that were just alcohol, and you would just put it on your zit, and it would burn your face off. Essentially, is what it would do. But,
did it work though? Or just burned everything off?
It just took everything off. Yeah, I mean, it's you look like Freddy Krueger, but you don't have any pimples.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It's we'll just remove your face. You don't have to worry about zits.
Facelift every single morning. Yeah, no. I hate when you get one like right here in between. I've gotten it like right here or like right on the side of the nose.
Oh yeah, that's common.
Like,
Yeah, the crease.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is why everybody tuned in. But yeah. All right. So nothing new in LA except for people actually getting out. Are you planning any travel? Do you have something booked?
I mean, honestly, besides the national, no. However, the craving is there because the craving is like, look, everyone else is talking about travel. Everyone else is doing that. I do have a retreat. I think it was supposed to be in Canada, in Vancouver last year. That's going to get rescheduled. So that's July. And I don't know where it's going to end up being because I think Canada is still pretty shut down from the US. But definitely looking forward to that. And I saw a comment here about
Steve, can we have some buildup, please? Can we have some buildup? Do we have to dive like the first second in? Can we have a little bit of buildup?
Oh, okay. Oh, and Flipping Steve. Yeah, Flipping Steve was on the fence about going to the National. And I was like, dude, you got to go. I mean, this is once a year. It's if you're going to skip a Dallas show, that makes sense because they're having it frequently. But this is the National. We haven't had it in 2 years. And so Steve texted me earlier this week that he is going to the National and will be splitting a room this time. So that's exciting.
I think Steve does that for attention. I think he was planning to go all along. He just wanted us to be like, no, please come, because we do want him to come.
Yeah.
I know what you're doing, Steve. I know what you're doing.
Touche, Steve. Touche.
But we do want you there. So you guys are bunking together?
Yeah. So if you're thinking of going to the National, I would look at hotels now that the National is confirmed, and I don't think that that's going to get retracted by any stretch. And the hotel prices, yeah, they're pretty expensive the closer you get, but I would just book now because I think like 110 to 120 per night was the lowest I could find. That was outside of being a Motel 6.
Yeah, so unlike I never do this, but I actually booked mine in March. Beginning of March, I booked my hotel. And I never get ahead of this stuff. I'm usually always last and paying triple the price and all that crap. But yeah, we got ahead of it, thankfully.
And I didn't see any Airbnbs that were affordable within the area either. So it's really just go for the hotel or nothing. And I saw a Bobby B, one king bed. Actually, Steve had a king bed in his room, and I crashed with him on the last night because Boris, the hobby box, had to leave. But there was a fold out from the couch. So I used the couch bed. But we got 2 twin beds, so that'll be just fine.
Brad saved $400 in Dallas on hotels and bought 0 cards at the show.
I bought some Lonzo Ball cards as a gift, and they are write-offs. And then I dropped $800 or more. What was it like? Yeah, $800 on the worst card break or pack battle ever, which hasn't even been aired because I think the cards were so bad you can't even find a salvageable video from it because every card was horrible. And I compared to this. I think I told you, it's like if you're not familiar with the pack battle, Jeff did one with Loot Box, and it was like such a great pack battle because both boxes were stacked with cards, like great cards. And ours was just like, which card is worse, yours or mine? Okay, mine's worse this time. Yours is worse this time. And I technically won this pack battle, which cost us $800 each. But the feeling of winning is similar to a head coach of a team winning a preseason game and having 4 of your starters go down with season-ending injuries. It's like that feeling of, wait, you're telling me I won? Because I feel like a horrible loser right now.
I like Brian's comment. LeBron James going down the toilet like a big old Lincoln log. It's going to be really interesting to see, like, can the Lakers pull this out? They've got to win 2 games against the Suns. And I mean, but look, I don't know why. I think it's one of those things where it's like LeBron always goes to the finals. He always goes to the finals. And for him to go out in the first round, I just have this feeling deep down that they're going to win 2 games and beat the Suns. Even with AD hurt, even with LeBron kind of hurt too, I think they're going to find a way. Even though I've got reasons to want the Suns to win, I'm a Suns fan. With some of the new, I don't have lots of Booker. I've got a couple of Booker cards, but and honestly, as a fan, I just want to see a different team win. I'm not the guy that wants to see a team win 5 championships unless it's the New Orleans Saints, which it never happens.
Yeah.
But if I don't care, I'm rooting for the underdog. So
and look, I live in LA, but I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm a fan of my neighbors not being assholes. So if my neighbors can be in a better mood because the Dodgers and the Lakers and the Rams or the Chargers or whoever can win, I'm fine with that as long as it doesn't interfere with my teams. But I'm not a LeBron fan, and I want to be because I live in LA, but I'm just not a LeBron fan. And I do like the Suns. I like Chris Paul. I like Devin Booker. I like the smaller market team that shouldn't get superstars shipped to them because they have a huge media base like New York or LA, or they have a ridiculous nightlife like Miami. But instead, it's, hey, who would pick Phoenix, right? I think the tax situation is good, but it's not a city where most players would say, I want to play for the Phoenix Suns one day. So I want them to win, kind of like I want my Orlando Magic to one day be relevant and win. So I'm definitely going for the Suns there. And if you take a look at some of the prices of like Anthony Davis, I think we talked about his cards. Man, there are going to be some really good deals as these teams get eliminated, because Anthony Davis's Prism, I'm looking at it right now, his Prism PSA 10 base. I mean, that's down to like $850, and that was at, I'm looking at it now, $2,300 back in March, and that wasn't even the peak of his prices, but $800 for Anthony Davis PSA 10, and we'll see if it goes even lower. Yeah,
that's wild. The thing that's nerve-wracking about Anthony Davis, because I like Anthony Davis as a player, but the injuries are really what's concerning. Like, are injuries going to shorten his career? I think that's the worry with Anthony Davis, because he's a top 5 player in the NBA when he's healthy. It's just, can he stay healthy? Ziggy, we will see you at the National. I don't know anything about VIP party tickets, so if you have any sort of I don't know how you got those or how you get them, but let us know if
they'll charge you triple just because they know it's you. They'll be like,
yeah, I'll get the special VIP party tickets that like Brad made up, and he's just gonna hey, send the money to this PayPal account. Yeah. I'm like, Brad, why is it your PayPal account?
I give you like a little laminated sticker that says VIP, and you can't go in anywhere.
I show up with it, and they're like, "Hey, idiot, get out of here!"
It's just a sticker. It's just a sticker that you give to like kindergartners.
Like, no, you don't understand. I have the VIP ticket. I got the ticket. Ryan, good to see you, man. Yeah, be careful on Spirit. I haven't flown Spirit in a while.
That's the one airline I hear never fly, but that's also why it's so cheap. So, I mean, if it's worth it, then go for it.
Yeah, I agree, Will. It's a little I mean, and look, maybe he just gets over it and he, has a Hall of Fame career. I don't know, but he's just not quite there yet where he's a in my opinion, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I know he's got a title, but he's going to have to crank out, some more stats and have, I don't know, 5, 6 good years.
Yeah, there was also a comment there. So I was also looking at Damian Lillard's cards, and his last sale of his PSA 10 Prism, same year, with less pop, I believe, I'd have to check, that was about $850 or $900. So it's Lillard's going for slightly more than AD, but I think it's also based off of the Blazers have a better shot of advancing, especially if they win tonight, than the Lakers do based on the hole they're in. And I think after that performance we saw Dame have the other night, it's just like, even if you're the best player on your team and you're not going to win a championship, you are a stud. Like, this guy is fun to watch. He's like, I was upset. I was upset because the Lakers Suns game was on a few nights ago, and the Blazers game was on NBA TV, and I couldn't watch it. So I had to keep up with the score while watching this rout of the Lakers instead, and they couldn't switch it over. So I was keeping up with the box score, seeing that he was hitting the game winner or the game tying 3 again and again. But I mean, like, that's why I had such a good return on investment of his cards last summer, because he had those 3 games in a row where he just went off. And so if you get a couple of those and he actually wins and advances, then, you got a good thing going. But I kind of like those streaky players.
Yeah, I wish the Mavs would get like a Dame Lillard to go with Luka. Luka just needs one more piece. He just needs one guy. Like, him and Dame Lillard would be so deadly.
And not only deadly, how fun would that be to watch?
Yeah,
from a viewer standpoint. Yeah. And I was just going to say, like, I'm not a Mavs fan based on Dallas, because I'm not tied to that city, but that's one of those teams where I think I could have my home team, and then Dallas would be a good secondary team to like, just because you have Luka, and I like Mark Cuban as well. But I know you're a Mavs fan.
Well, no, I'm a follower. I'm a bandwagoner. I'm a bandwagon Mavs fan because I like Luka. I pull for Luka. If I'm like one of those LeBron fans that just likes LeBron wherever he's playing, that'll be me. If Luka goes to the Trailblazers, I'll like the Trailblazers.
Why do you like LeBron? That's an example.
Just an example. There's some like LeBron fans that don't care about the team; they just care about LeBron. So they're just rooting for LeBron no matter what. Gotcha.
Okay, yeah, you hear the same thing with Tom Brady, and I think that's really it for NFL because they don't really change teams as much. But what's your thoughts on the NBA playoffs? Do you have any change of heart with anything you're seeing?
I mean, it's been exciting. I like the fact that there's some parity to it, to where Lakers are down 3-2. You know, I mean, Nuggets are up 3. You know, there's teams that are. I mean, the fact that the Mavs, honestly, I'm surprised that the Mavs are up 3-2 on the Clippers. I did not really see that coming. Not that I didn't think that the Mavs could beat the Clippers. They have the talent, but Porzingis is not playing well. It's literally like a one-man show. It's Luka and it's Tim Hardaway. You know, it's like guys just coming out of the woodwork, you know, making it happen. The Mavs are not playing great defense, but the Clippers just can't get their act together. And I think that'll be kind of, the offseason for the Clippers. If they get bumped off by the Mavs in round one, where, you know, maybe Kawhi goes somewhere, maybe Paul George, I don't know. Like, I guess Paul George signed a big extension. I think he signed a pretty big extension. So maybe it's Kawhi that's leaving. I don't know, but I would be surprised if the Mavs got through the Clippers. Not that it's impossible, but you know, the Clippers to me are just a better overall team than the Mavs right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know basketball more than me because I just started watching during the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, the Clippers, I watch them play, and I'm just like, you're scoring, and I'm not entertained. But something with Luka when he's on the floor, even just a pass, I'm like, wow, that was a great pass. You know, at least it's exciting. But whatever, man. I mean, it's just nice to actually watch basketball and care and like enjoy it a bit. But there was a good comment about the ratings being very low. So do you have any take on maybe the low ratings leading to lower card prices, lower interest overall, anything like that?
Yeah, I think regardless of kind of how the playoffs go, I do think that cards are just going to kind of slump over the summer as what we had said. I think that, not to say there's not going to be sales, there will be sales, and not to say you won't have, you know, record breaking prices on the high end like what we've seen. But in general, I think that there is kind of a, you know, it's that cooling off period that we've seen. And I don't see another, you know, I guess, and maybe I could be very, very wrong, but like a playoff spike, you know, for NBA cards. I don't know if there's going to be a massive spike, maybe leading up to the finals or the Western Conference or Eastern Conference finals. But I guess that's what I'm watching. You know, is there going to be a little bump for teams that are unexpectedly there? Maybe, probably. And then how much of a bump are they getting? You know, if like the Suns are in the Western Conference finals, or DeAndre Ayton cards, you know, going up, you know, that's the sort of stuff I'm kind of, you know, watching. I think that'll be interesting.
You know, one thought I had, because people are saying this year with the playoffs, it's so different than last year, and how the playoffs and everything's going up and this and this and this, and then the playoffs end and everything goes down. And I wonder how many people that are interested in the flipping side of it with the NBA, how many people have heard over and over again for the last year, sell at playoff time. And so now there's not really a demand to buy in, even if those teams are going to do well. As in, you know, we hear about the rules of thumb in the hobby, at least like this is the way it was, which is buy off season, sell at the Hall of Fame announcement. There are a couple of things that apparently have worked for years and years. I think when you don't have the level of content creators and content out there and the data tools and everything else to show this actually happening, how many people can just follow that over and over again? And then maybe this summer is different because, it's a completely different dynamic of society, and sports are ending later than usual than in 2019. But I wonder how many flippers and investors and whatnot, or collectors, are just like, look, I'm not going to even buy into the playoffs now. I'd rather just buy off season, period.
Well, and that's an interesting dynamic in itself, because how many people are sitting here waiting for, you know, how many people have been waiting for, including myself, Jason Tatum, for example. I know the Celtics just got knocked off. I knew that they weren't going to win a title. So at some point, there's going to be a Jason Tatum buying opportunity. But I guess that's the big question is how many people like me or you or whatever are waiting for that time where it's like, all right, this team gets bumped. Now I'm here for the deals, and we're all waiting for the deals. And so are there any deals? Because we're all kind of fighting over the deals. I think that'll be interesting,
Yeah. Well, then it kind of redefines what is off season. Is it a 3-week period where it's at its lowest and then it starts trickling up? Is it, what is it? But I feel like you can't really rely on the rules of thumb anymore when there's this amount of education and information out there. It's just going to keep evolving. I had another point, but I forgot it. So let's move on.
I doubt we missed much.
It wasn't going to be good. Don't worry.
All right. What types of, I guess, what sort of buying trends are you looking at? Are you buying right now, holding? What are you kind of, thinking as of now? Are you kind of picking and choosing? Or are you just kind of sitting pat?
I mean, look, I'm seeing a lot of deals on basketball, but if they're active players, then I believe that if they're eliminated teams, I believe that it will slide down more. And if they're playoff contenders, I believe they'll slide down even more. And there's going to be a lot of time between now and the hype around next year. So even though I'm seeing deals in basketball, football is the only sport that I've been buying, period. And that's been for a while. There might be one or two basketball cards like a Shaq rookie card or whatnot, but football's been my focus, and it'll be my focus until I want to sell. And I don't know when I want to sell. It's just going to be when the profit is there and I can sell and make it back, and then I'll be good. But Mahomes was one player that I finally saw some deals on.
Let me butt in here real quick. Brett, that's good, actually. In the chat, what cards are you guys buying? Is there anything? And look, I mean, if you have an auction ending in an hour, you don't have to say what you're trying to buy if you're trying to buy a card. But in general, what is the chat looking at? Anybody buying or targeting certain things? Be interested to hear that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd be curious too, just based on what I'm seeing. What about you?
So I'm kind of thinking, especially going, to Dallas, being at a big show and just hearing how much bigger the National is. Part of me is kind of like, I want to save money so that I've got cash, not actually cash on me, but PayPal or whatever, Hey
guys, Dustin's going to be carrying around a lot of money, and he's unarmed. He doesn't have a concealed weapon license or anything like that. So find him in a dark alley, and anyway.
No, if I had a lot of cash, my wife would take it and do with it as she wants. She would go shopping elsewhere, but no, I think though that I want to have, some more savings kind of ready for that show so that I'm more prepared if there is kind of a big card, or if, because here's the other kind of question mark. If cards don't recover by the time we get to the National, I want to be ready for that. If there are potential buying opportunities there, I want to be ready for it. So yes, I am looking at stuff and I'm bidding on things here and there, but I'm also not reaching. And the other part I'm struggling with too is there's and I talked to you about this. I also talked with Flipping Steve and with Neo, Northeast Ohio Sports Cards. There's Golden Age, Silver Age comic books that are graded that I'm looking at too. There's like 1940s, like Superman books that are graded that are really not very expensive in comparison to some of the sports cards out there. So I'm looking at that stuff too, but I'm trying to not necessarily, blow through everything, the bankroll. Because I'd like to be at the show with some decent money in case there's something there. Well, look, I know there's going to be stuff there. It's just a matter of, is the right deal going to happen? And, there's certain cards that I've been targeting that, it'd be nice to get. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing with the National in comparison to Dallas is that going through Dallas, there's 200 tables, something like that.
I thought it was more. I thought it was like 400 tables.
Okay, maybe it was 400. Yeah, actually, I think you're right. 400. Do you know what the National will be at roughly?
I do not. But from what people were telling me, like the actual size of the room was like 4 or 5 times like the size of where we were in Dallas.
Okay. So if there are a lot more vendors, I'm hoping that there's a bigger mix of sports and non-sports, because in Dallas, I saw, I don't know what the ratio is, and we discussed it, but I thought it was 50% basketball, 50% other, or something like that, where it's very heavy basketball and very little football. I mean, I feel like there was 10 to 15% football. Is that fair to say, something like that? I mean,
I would say 10% Justin Herbert.
Okay. Okay. So it's like 9% Justin Herbert, 1% other NFL, but it was not much. So I'm curious to see what the split will be.
You mentioned Mahomes. I remember there was like one table that had Mahomes stuff, but like nobody, I didn't feel like anybody was selling Mahomes. I did not see a lot of Mahomes there.
No.
I mean, there was some. You saw some Prism rookies, some Prism stuff, but there wasn't a lot of variation at all.
But even the Prism rookies, I didn't see many. I saw the 1 9. I saw, I think, another, maybe a couple 9 scattered around, but it wasn't much. So I'm curious to see. But for me, I mean, look, like last time, the National's still pretty far out, and we'll talk about this more. With the amount of vendors and businesses and people, I can go to the LA shows here and get 99% of what I'm looking for, because I'm still in that Prism Optic Hollow, Prism Silver, Select Silver type of range, where I want cards that aren't super rare, so that I know that there's enough data points. They're not super high pop. They're not so low pop that I'm overpaying, or I don't have enough sales history to know what I should be buying for. So living in LA, I can get most of what I want at a local card show if I go every weekend. I'd rather just go there and meet people and meet the different vendors and companies, because I hear that there's going to be a lot of different sponsors, companies, things that they didn't show up to Dallas for, but the National, they'll be there. So
what do you think? There's a lot of talk in the chat about F1 cards. And honestly, like new product, I don't even mess with unless I happen to be at a Walmart or a Target and it's sitting there on the shelf, which hasn't happened yet in the last couple of years. But I just don't mess with the new stuff like that. Have you looked at any of that?
Not at all. In fact, someone asked me in one of the video comments earlier today what I thought of Formula One, and all I've heard about it is that it's a new product, it's breaking right now, and that's the thing. I mean, I think most people that are interested in it don't even know who the drivers are. They just know that there's a lot of hype. But ask me what I think of Formula One in 6 months, and I'll give you an opinion, because then it'll settle down, just like NBA Top Shot, just like the tennis cards, just like Tiger Woods cards, just like Taylor Horton Tucker, just like Bowl, just like anything else. If it's new and it's exciting, I don't want to buy it. I want to sell it.
Got it. So flashback from the 80s, USFL is coming back. 2022. Herschel Walker is coming back. He'll be playing. Kidding. But Jim Kelly will be going back to the USFL. I'm excited about this, but it's hard for me to get excited until I actually see some success, because I feel like we always have like a league that pops up and then 5 minutes later it's out of business.
Poor XFL. They just tried so hard so many times. It's like XFL, it's like first time, okay, well, you got fireworks and Vince McMahon and all this, and he hate me, and then it dissolves. And then this time we're bringing the XFL back, and then COVID's like, no, bro, it's over. But okay, USFL, you're a lot older than me. I wasn't really around for USFL. Is that actually competitive?
I don't look older than you, though. Let's be fair.
Well, I
got a fresh cut today.
Actually, that haircut is it's less Miley Cyrus. It's a good blend between like I'm young, like I want to be young, but I don't want to be high fashion young. I don't want to be like a gaunt supermodel young or a pop star young. I just want to be like a younger dad.
Oh yeah, no, I mean this is before I got the European soccer player haircut, and
that was too much. That was a bit too much.
No, it's never too much, man. It's never. I don't think they went short enough on the sides. We'll work on that though. We'll work on it.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like I respect you a bit more now than I did a few months ago, and I think it's the haircut.
Wait, the Miley Cyrus haircut or this haircut?
I respect you a bit more now with the less Miley Cyrus look.
Okay, you thought maybe I was trying a little bit too hard, turning 40.
But yeah, before it was a bit try hard. It was like you getting a Corvette. Like I turned 40, so I need to go out and buy a Corvette. It's like, all right, you're overcompensating.
At least I did a $15 haircut and not a $50,000 car for my midlife crisis.
There you go.
There you go. All right.
Okay. So what is USFL? As in, I'm not really familiar with the league. Is that actual competition?
Yeah. So the USFL, this is so big kind of controversy in the 80s was Donald Trump owned, I think he owned a USFL team. And he was one of the owners that was, trying to push for the USFL to kind of take hold to compete against the NFL. Mm-hmm. He had, and I believe he also had an opportunity to buy the Dallas Cowboys at one point and did not take it. He was trying to get into an NFL team as well, but he was on the USFL side. USFL signed big players: Herschel Walker, Jim Kelly. There was big players that ended up going from the USFL over to the NFL. So it's actually kind of a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of people. It's a little bit before my time, meaning that like I was too young for, there's a USFL football set. I get messages from people all the time. Talk about I think it's 84 is the year of the USFL. Yeah. United States Football League. But there was a great set that has like a Reggie White rookie card, Steve Young rookie card, but it's their USFL rookie. It's considered their real rookie by a lot of football card collectors. And, and so USFL there's a nostalgia factor there. I'm a little bit, it was just barely before my time. I was a little bit too young to actually watch the games and stuff, but the fact that they're going to bring it back, I hope they bring back the original teams. And that was kind of the feedback that a lot of people said, like, what is it? The New Jersey Generals. And, you've got a few of these teams that people.
Oh, Steve Young, Reggie White, Doug Williams.
Oh, yeah. Huge players.
Okay. So but all right. My question is this: let's say they bring it back. They use the original teams. How long? Yeah, there. At least it's Billy Ray, not his daughter. But okay, how long would it take? Let's just say they bring back the USFL. They bring back the original teams. How long would it take, if ever, to actually get enough talent to compete with the NFL when the NFL's budget is through the roof?
It's a spring league, so they're kind of doing it like what the XFL did. They're not trying to compete with them in prime time in the fall. They're trying to do it in their off season. So they're not competing head to head with them necessarily.
Okay, but even so, if you're an NFL player, it's not like you're playing USFL in the off season. I'm pretty sure if you're an NFL player, they would not allow that in their contract for not only NFL wanting your rights, but also because you don't want the player to be injured and then now they can't start the NFL season because they got injured in a USFL game. So the question is, you bring that back, and is it just going to be all the XFL players playing in the USFL?
Definitely am, Alex.
I'm not.
All right, but I wasn't listening to you, Brad. What? USFL?
I'm just making really good, strong arguments as to why the USFL won't compare to the NFL anytime soon, because how are they going to
make? I mean, that's about the most obvious take ever, because literally, like, no league has challenged the NFL in ever.
The point is, and the point is this one ever going to have a shot at the same thing? Or is this going to be the Arena Football, the Canadian Football League, the XFL, the something that's like mildly entertaining during summer when we're just waiting for preseason to start?
They've got to have, I think what's got to happen is you've got to have guys, because what happened was the USFL paid Herschel Walker and paid some of these guys, Jim Kelly, big money. So that's really what kept them. That's how they were able to compete with the NFL, because it was actually a decision for those players like, oh, man, maybe I want to play for the USFL. They're going to pay me more than the NFL. This was 30 years ago, 35 years ago, when the NFL was not the cash cow that it is today. So I think it was easier to compete back then. Nowadays, you'd have to come up with some serious cash, but I think you would have an elite player or some elite players that are carrying that league.
Well, I mean, Deshaun Watson. Here's the thing. You get the players that like want more money, but they're not going to get it in the NFL, but they have like some sort of allure to them. I mean, look, Johnny Manziel was that guy years ago, but he just never was that good professionally. Like if he was better professionally, then maybe any of the off-field incidences, then maybe he would have been a good candidate. But
you actually make a good point there, because what about like those guys that are just retired? Like Des Bryant is trying to get on a
Mhm.
team. You have all these guys that are big names, or
Terrell Owens.
Terrell Owens.
Yeah. Chad Ochocinco.
But even if these guys are 45 and retired, and they're not necessarily going out there to try to win.
Even if they're 60.
But I would go look. I would go watch T.O. play at 50 years old, and I would go watch it.
I think it'd be well. I mean, if T.O. could play at 50 in a league, yeah, that'd be more exciting than watching an average 23-year-old who I don't even know their name. Yeah, I agree. Emmett Smith. Let's see if he still has it.
Barry Sanders wants to come out. I'm going to watch Barry Sanders, man.
And then what you need is you need a great commentator. You need a great
like Dustin and Brad.
I mean, yeah, dude. USFL. Let us know. Let us know.
Remember
Dustin
that
will do it for free.
Remember that time when our YouTube channel spun off into us being USFL commentators? That would honestly, we would just retire after that. That would be perfect.
Well, until the USFL just dissolves like 6 months later.
We signed like $1 million contracts that are immediately voided after like 1 month.
If Tom Brady retires and goes to USFL, would you watch? Absolutely. I'd watch those games only.
Any of these guys, Favre, Brett Favre's out there, absolutely. Andrew Luck, yes. Even if it's not a highly competitive game, even if it's a flag football game, I mean, even if it's those guys just out there like throwing it around, I mean, I think they could sell tickets to it.
Yeah,
it's a thought.
Yeah, I think what the XFL was missing for me was I can't watch a league. And I saw a couple comments there that the last XFL season was pretty good. I need a name I'm familiar with because I can't watch a league that's not the most competitive. It just doesn't sound fun to me to watch like, hey, these guys aren't as good, but watch them play this game anyway. That's not really, it's like I wouldn't watch college football if it wasn't the top teams. I don't want to watch like, what's it, Division 3 or Division 4 football,
If they have hot cheerleaders, that wouldn't hurt. That wouldn't hurt.
You remember Lingerie Football League?
Yeah. So it's just a mix. It's just a mix of that.
That was cool.
Ryan Leaf making a comeback. Look, guys, the possibilities are endless. I think we agree that this league can work. It can work. It's just how are you going to set it up? How are you going to set it up?
If they pour their money into a big name, a couple big names that they can use as spokespeople to get people to watch, then I agree.
All right, Brett's tired of this. We're moving on.
Okay.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, if you've got no one's really said what kind of cards they're looking for. Throw that in the chat if you've got something. Or is nobody buying cards? That could be it too. Maybe
dude.
Buying cards.
Do you have any recent pickups this last week or two?
I don't have any pickups in the last week. It's probably been a while. I haven't bought anything since the show. Because with the national news, I've just been on kind of like chill mode. I did bid on a couple of things. I bid on another Donovan Mitchell Optic Hollow. So this is a card I picked up at the show for $430. And I was bidding on another one of these, and I was trying to kind of get it on the cheap, really like $375, I think was my last bid, and it sold for $420. It sold for right about what I bought it for at the show, which I felt like was a good deal. Mm-hmm. So I'm also looking at stuff like this. I'm always watching eBay for like SGC. There's all this talk about SGC now. All of a sudden SGC is kind of moving up the charts as far as where's their pricing compared to PSA. There's a lot of talk about SGC right now, kind of with Beckett slowing down. They're shutting down submissions outside of their premium service. SGC is kind of the last one there. I think that SG has got is like starting to get a longer backlog. And then HGA, I know that they only take a certain amount of cards every week, so I haven't really been following them as much.
Okay, so it's been slow, but I'm also almost at the cap of what I wanted to invest before I start selling. So I'm nearing that. I might get a couple more football cards. I'm not going to play the NBA playoff game. I'm just going to watch that end, and I'm like fully, all my eggs are in the football basket that it will be higher than what it is now at some point leading up to the season, and I'm just going to go with that. But in terms of players, Kyler Murray, I'm still looking at a bit. I've stocked up on Russell Wilson, so I'm good there. Mahomes, if I could find a deal on Mahomes, I might as well go in now because I don't see Mahomes dropping more between now and August, especially because the way I see it is that when basketball season's over, which is the same time as hockey season, when that ends, what else is there until, there's football coming up and then baseball mid-season. So I just see it as all that money that's at the shows that's people are spending on basketball, that's just going to trickle to football, or it's not going to move because at least some people will be buying very low on basketball and very early, but I think that most people aren't going to be buying that early. So it'll be, okay, football season's coming up in 2 months. Let's start looking at football and building that inventory and seeing where that goes. So I'd rather stock up now. As far as a couple topics, there was one on BGS shutting down. So I want to talk about that, and also Star Stock, because there were a couple things, a couple comments about our thoughts on Star Stock expanding their inventory. And I saw that. I just don't know what it entails.
Yeah, start with that. I use Star Stock very little.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, same here. I did get an email from Star Stock saying that they're expanding. I just didn't read it fully. So if you are familiar with what Star Stock is now offering, please let us know so we can at least make some really weak little statement on it.
Brad's going to offer nothing. I'll offer an average take.
Let's start.
I would love to use Star Stock more often. I like the idea of being able to kind of get in and out of things quickly. So I want to use it. I think part of me is just kind of like, I want the site to mature, keep on maturing. I'm sure it'll only get better. I'm assuming that.
Well, how about this? Let me share my screen just because I have the email set up right now. Let's see here. Share screen. And you're going to have to allow me to do this.
All right, I don't have anything yet. All right, here we go.
Is it there? Can you see it?
I see it. Yep.
Okay. Star Stock, this should be today. Yeah. Okay. So raw and graded hockey, Upper Deck Series 1, Series 2 Young Guns, Opeachy. So that's the main stuff. WNBA, golf, UFC, wrestling, Formula One, NASCAR, tennis. I mean, when I see Formula One here and I see UFC, I think of the two of the hottest sports that we've been talking about with new products. So I think with a lot of these rips, these breaks right now, a lot of people don't know what to do with those cards, because if it's not worth sending to PSA right now, they don't want to send to Comp C because it might take forever and it might never sell. So they're probably thinking, what do I do with all this Formula One product, all this NASCAR product, all the UFC product, which is brand new? And I think that's where it makes sense for Star Stock to say, well, send it to us. We want your business, and we might be the best place to hold your cards, because you're going to have to wait a while to get them graded, or you're going to have to send them to Comp C or sell on your own. So makes sense. It's good for Star Stock. I like to see them go in the right direction. I think the timeliness goes hand in hand with these breaks.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and just kind of piggybacking off that to BGS shutting down for the time being. Now, from my understanding, they've said that this is supposed to be fairly temporary. They had made comment about being, grading at the National. I think their goal is in 7 weeks from now to be back open, or to, start to reopen those different levels. From my understanding, and I don't grade with BGS or PSA. I don't send cards in for grading. I buy their products. I buy their slabs, but from what I've heard, everyone's been waiting forever for these companies anyways. So I just feel like grading is going to have to get back to a point where, it's a machine that's working right now. There's just nothing. It's just like there's a cog in that wheel. The wheel's just stopped on grading. Yeah. So it's like, I think that's a big part of kind of what we're seeing, and just kind of slow down the hobby, because there's a lot of people that they like to buy raw, send and get graded. And even if it's a PC card, I don't think that's always necessarily just a flipper every single time. I think there's a lot of PC cards and everything else that's just kind of stopped. And I don't think that's a positive for everything else.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, I wonder if PSA was open and not backlogged, how that would have affected everything else, because there's a lot of factors going on right now. So, I don't know. I'll see about SGC if people gravitate towards them. It just seems like, I don't know. It's not really a good situation for anyone because we don't really have a good option with PSA as of now. It will end at some point. BGS is not really an option as of now. SGC could be the option, but do you really want to take the risk sending it to them and then selling the card for the same price as the card's worth raw plus $20 for the slab? Do you want to risk it? Do you think it's going to go up?
Well, so here's the thing, and I don't know if these are just like, certain data points that are picked out to make the case for it. But I do see, whether it be Twitter or Instagram, there are people that are posting comps, basically like sales of an SGC 10 compared to a PSA 10 on certain cards where the price is very close. Now, look, that could be like just the cards they happen to pick, are close. Mm-hmm. But I guess that would be kind of a big deal if SGC 10s were started to sell for the same or similar, very similar to a PSA 10, even if it's just in the short term, even if it's just over the next few months, that would be kind of a big deal, I think. But I don't know if that's just like, these specific cards that happen to be comping well.
And it's like, I wouldn't risk it for me. Like for me, it's not worth the risk because it's probably temporary. And I'm coming out with a video next week, and it was going to be my monthly recap video, which I do every month, but it's been such a slow month. I didn't sell anything on eBay. I have about 55 or something sales on Comp C, which it's low end stuff. But
is this going to be I lost $5,000 last month video?
Spoiler. Come on.
Yeah. You're like, actually more like 15.
Yeah, it's like, I wish.
That's why we've got great value pistachios.
Right, there it is. Man. Seriously, we're going to get that sponsor. We're going to get that sponsor for you. But look, there's so much that has changed between last year and this year. And the big thing that really sticks out to me with all the craziness around the grading companies and the new product and the delays, the backlogs, all this is the one thing I want to do differently going forward is if I'm going to spend money on a card, I want to make sure I know the supply. I don't want to play any more. I don't want to have this guessing game of I think this is the supply, because when you think of like, all right, cards have gone down in value even though it's NBA playoffs and we had these ridiculous highs in February out of nowhere and now it's low. And what about this player? What about this set? What about this variation? What about this grading company? I just want to say, all right, at least I know that there are 500 of this card in this variation, and it should not grow much more than that. Maybe it grows to 550, but it's mostly through the system. I don't want to be burnt on the supply side because the demand side of the equation is hard enough. It's really difficult to pick the right player, the right card, the right everything. But at least I don't want to get burnt on. At least I want to know that there's X amount of it without that surprise of the pop report tripling overnight.
Here's kind of a thought that I just had. Maybe
listen to what I said.
Yeah, no, I was trying to just wait for you to finish so I could start talking. Yeah, so
perfect timing. You have to pee. Go on.
Yeah, if you want, yeah, go ahead, man. I mean, if you need to, seriously, no big deal.
I will, but I'm going to turn the volume up so I can still hear you as I urinate. But I'll mute myself.
Can you make sure that you're doing it like on the side so that we're not listening to it the whole time?
Yeah. My kitchen sink's right there. No worries. I'm going to mute myself. Man,
unbelievable. So I know that different people have different takes on who grades the toughest, and I've heard kind of, I've heard some say that SGC is a tougher grade than PSA. Of course, obviously, it probably depends on the card, depends on the day, depends on all these things. If PSA moves to AI having more of a tougher PSA grade because they're using AI to help with that grade, does an SGC 10, if people think the SGC grade's tougher, does it become more of an even, is the SGC 10 closer to a PSA AI graded 10? I'm just throwing this out there, guys. I'm throwing this out there into the world. Chat, let me know. Is this crazy or is this something? Possibly. Because before long, PSA is going to be using this AI technology, and that'll be the future, the present, and the future. So I'm curious to see, and I see here JJ Bama says BGS is SGC and BGS are harder grades than PSA. So does that mean that a AI graded PSA, if that becomes a tougher grade, does that even, are those more even grades?
I heard most of that. I had to focus over my stream. However, I had to hear your stream over my stream, if that makes sense. And I think for the rarer cards and for the collectors, all of that makes sense. But the question becomes, do people that are collecting and flipping, and let's just say it's prism silvers, it's the cards that most people gravitate towards for moving, I don't think they matter. I don't think it matters at all, because I think all that matters, because when I think of it, I want a PSA 10, not because it's graded tougher or any of that, but because I know I will be able to move it easier, even if the card is not in better shape. When it comes to a collectible card, an auto, I think that's where the BGS 9.5s, the SGC 10s make a lot of sense, because it's a rare card, it's a collector card. But the ones for flippers or casual investors, I don't think it matters. I think it just is like, that's great. I'd rather have a PSA 9 caliber card in a PSA 10 label that is, that they graded way too lenient on, than the other way around for an SGC or for like a superior card in an SGC 10 slab, because now it's comparing the perceived value of PSA versus the perceived value of SGC, and that's way too far off.
Larry, let us know why you don't really care for SGC, because you're saying they're not legit. I'd just like to know, and just an honest opinion, like what about it is, not your cup of tea. I'd like to hear that. I think, and I think it was Mike Petty that had mentioned, buying the card, not necessarily the holder. And I agree. I mean, if you look at, like, this card is in an SGC case. This is a, 2017 field level select. It's copper prism. It's numbered out of 75. So if it's a Tom Brady collector that just wants this particular card, it's numbered out of 75. So is it going to matter if it's in an SGC 10 case or a 10 case? Like, as far as the price point goes, it probably is a tighter price point. But to your point, if it's a Luka Prism PSA 10 rookie that's very, very common, then that's where maybe, it has, because they're just more common. So people are like, okay, I'd rather have a PSA case.
Right. I think that's where it comes down to, the rarer the card, the less it matters. Like, okay, we talk about that collectible thing, right? Okay, so we saw the news on Collectible with the Babe Ruth pre-rookie card in what, SGC 2, SGC 3, something like that, right?
Yeah, 3, I think.
Okay, so it's an SGC 3, and that card is so rare and so old and whatever, it doesn't matter. It's an SGC. No one's like, oh, well, it's an SGC 3. What could it really be worth? And I know there's a whole controversy or thing going on right now with the fact that that card was not actually sold for $6 million. So we're learning more about that now, because I believe you were telling me the owner, Ezra, I don't know his last name.
Oh, no. Yeah. I think he's the CEO of Collectible. Yeah. Ezra.
Okay. Ezra was on. And let's give that podcast a shout out. What's it, Luka Jordan or Luka LeBron?
Yeah,
you know what it's called?
It's Luka Bronze. What is the dang? Luka Bronze Tigers Oh My podcast. I'm sure a lot of people that watch this probably watch our station, probably also watch their station. But it's easy to find. Let me see if I can find it real quick here.
But Ezra, the CEO, was basically going over.
Okay.
Valuation.
Yeah. Luka Nation Network is the YouTube station, and they had an interview with him going on tonight, I believe. I don't know if it's over now or what, but I caught a little bit of it. I don't have any information, but he was on there talking about that particular deal.
Yeah, either way, it's not enough. You need to keep watching us. That's the whole point. We'll fill you in, but the point is that card specifically, no one cared that it's an SGC 2 or 3 or whatever, because it's that rare. The card matters way more. With the Luka Silvers, the Zions, these high pop cards, these very liquid cards, I think that's where the grade and the grading company matters way more than the actual condition of the card.
Yeah, the subgrades, I agree. BGS has got a really nice slab. It's heavy duty. I like the BGS slab. Agreed.
Here's the thing, dude. There's like literally a pros and cons to every slab. SGC 10 or SGC, I'm not a big fan of how big it is. And the paper label, I actually had someone on at one of those vlogs I did at an LA show say that he can't stand the SGC slab. It was falling apart. It was not put together well. And I saw a comment in there as well where like a SGC, a BGS, and a PSA slab were covered in water, and the SGC just was soaked and the others weren't. Something like that. The BGS, the see-through, the neutral colors, I think that works well with any card. The size of it is still a bit too bulky. I don't like that OtterBox feel. The size of PSA I like because it doesn't take away from the card, but the red label looks horrible on a lot of colors. So if you do the red label, that little trim on the back of the PSA label so that it's not sticking out on like a blue card or a teal card, I think that would look better. But we all have our opinion.
A lot of BGS fans, what Larry's talking about, airtight penny sleeve. I've seen that too. Yeah, no, I agree. I feel it's bulky, but it's sturdy. Sure. I like the subgrades too. I don't know why. Some people don't like subgrades. Some people just like a PSA 9 or a PSA 10. It's fun for me to look at different BGS subgrades and make a decision on which one I would like or not like. Those BGS 9.5s are just fun to kind of go look after.
I think the subgrades make it interesting because there's a game within the subgrades of, okay, well, maybe I can crack it, or at least I have an explanation, or maybe okay, I've never done this, but hypothetically, if you see 3 10s and then the surface says 8.5 and the card is a 9.5 overall, then maybe it's worth cracking and cleaning because maybe someone didn't clean it right. I mean, hypothetically, maybe that's the reason why the surface wouldn't get a high grade, but at least there's more of a game and an understanding of the true card. I think the issue is that when I look at the charts of what BGS 9.5s go for, they're all over the place because of the subgrades, and then it's a tougher game to piece together.
Yeah, MD kind of makes a point here. SGC has been a value play. Because if you're just going after cards that you like and you're not concerned about a PSA slab, you can get some really important cards that are sitting in SGC slabs that are maybe numbered or maybe, are just important hobby cards. And they're a fraction of the cost of what you would pay for PSA. And PSA might just be the flavor of the day. I know there's a lot of big PSA fans. I know I saw a PSA slab guy, I think, is in here. And he's a big, and hard to believe, but PSA slab guy is a monster PSA fan. Go figure. No, but look, I like PSA too, but I'm just saying, I mean, if PSA stuff is, triple the cost or whatever, and you just want the card, these other brands, it just seems like there could be some value there depending on the card.
Value, yes. In terms, I mean, we could talk about this every week, but because of the sheer volume of PSA cards out there, I have so much confidence that PSA will not ever, I won't say ever, but it would take a lot for them to lose their number one standing because of the amount of volume of cards and quality cards they have at that in their slab. So it's like there could be a scandal, there could be this, but if everyone's holding on to 50 PSA slabs of solid rookie cards, valuable cards, I think people have got to overlook it because they're like, well, I got way too much to lose. You know what I mean? If everyone's holding that many,
well, and this is the other thing too is, I don't crack cards. I'm too nervous. I'm going to crack it and like mess up the card. That'll be what I do. Like I cut the card in half or something. But
you should do one right now on live TV.
Yeah, you
do that one right now.
You could also kind of market it that way as like, hey, look, the card looks great. It's in an SGC 10. You the buyer could crack it. If I'm trying to sell it, for example, in person, I could say, hey, if you know how to crack these or whatever, do that.
Yeah. Well, so, the Dak Prescott, the one card I got in Dallas for myself, which was a eBay auction, which was the Dak Prescott, I think light blue, number to 149 in a BGS 9.5, and I think it had 4 9.5 subgrades. Or two 10s and 2 9.5s. So 2 10s and 2 9.5s. And the upside I thought of was, well, look, BGS 9.5 is not seen as equivalent to a PSA 10. But if there are two 10s and two 9.5s, maybe you do get a 10, right? So as a selling point, because I'm not like, my risk tolerance is too low to crack it myself, the upside would be, hey, if you crack this, I don't know if you have experience with this, not you personally, but whoever I'm selling it to. If you have experience cracking cards like this and you see these subgrades, maybe you could get a 10 and double your money or triple your money or whatever it is, just based on that arbitrage. But that's not a risk I'm willing to take. And obviously I can't guarantee it. I'm just saying, if you know more about that than me, then go at it. And maybe that's an upside versus just having a BGS 9 or just a PSA 9 that will never be a 10. But dude, it's interesting.
Blazers are up at the end of the third quarter, 101-98 on the Nuggets.
All right, and my Lightning are tied with Carolina. Let's see who scored a goal. Yeah, it's funny. My two of my three hockey investments are actually in this game, and that's Braden Point, who scored a goal, and Sebastian Aho, who scored a goal. And yeah, I hope my Lightning win, but I know there were a couple hockey people in the comments.
Yeah, there was I saw too, Ken Golden Auctions, obviously. He had tweeted today, thrilled to be partnering with Mint, which is a growing sports card business throughout Asia. It looked like it gave him the opportunity for Golden to work with the Asian buyers, have more access to a global audience, which I thought was really interesting, because as you see those partnerships kind of grow, I mean, it just means more kind of, more buyers, more money pouring in. And I know Golden Auctions in general, well, I don't know this, but I know with all the funding they just got and everything else, they're looking at also, my understanding is, branching out outside of just the very, very high-end stuff. And I'm not saying it didn't look like they were going to like get into dollar cards, like compete with eBay on $1, $2 cards or whatever. But it sounded like they wanted to get into more of like middle tier, not just like the higher end stuff. And if they keep on making those deals, with companies like that, with more buyers, better, if they're able to create a better experience than what you get elsewhere, that could be something. Maybe we'll be using Golden Auctions more often in a year. Who knows?
Well, wasn't that the plan? Weren't they talking about Golden turning into a platform? So that's the first thing. Two, if you guys aren't aware, it was announced a couple months ago that Ken Golden and Golden Auctions will be featured in a vlog style reality show going over the day-to-day business of Golden Auctions. So I'm thinking, well, that's great for him. It's great for whoever's selling through him too, just because you're getting this extra notoriety and exposure. But for the hobby as a whole, now people that are just tuning into, I don't know if it's A&E or whatever channel, can now discover collectibles and memorabilia and sports cards, and they may have only just heard briefly about this in the past. Now they get to see it. So you combine that with, I think the level of reputation, or at least like brand, the level of brand that Ken Golden is building from his business, it's like, yeah, now he can branch into Asia. And if he could bridge the Asian market with the American market, especially for sports like basketball, dude, what's that going to do when you have 100,000 other people that want to enter and just buy up some LeBron and Kobe and whatever cards, and they see it as an investment? They've been watching it from American media for the last year, because America is the #1 exporter of entertainment. We export, culture or pop culture and all this. We don't really import much of that at all. And what happens if 100,000 Chinese and Japanese and whatever other countries that want to get involved can now start buying these cards easily without all this customs and a lot of the other stuff that they have to deal with?
Yeah, I think that you have to believe, with these companies expanding and getting more funding and everything, that will happen naturally over time, which I think that'll be really fun. Think about where kind of the hobby, you and I were talking about this, as far as which companies were involved a year ago compared to which companies are involved now. We have so many new companies that have gotten into the hobby, all different types of companies, whether it's service companies or platforms or whatever, offering different things. What's it going to look like a year from now? It'll be cool.
And I see here Stevie Figs with linking soccer to Europe. Look, if I'm Panini and if I'm PSA and if I'm eBay and I'm these companies, all I'm thinking about is cards are going amazing for us here, but we got to get this around the world quickly because we're leaving money on the table if we're Panini and we can't supply the European and Asian market with the cards in the same way, especially if they're seeing what's going on here or hearing about it. But dude, I mean, we get the comments, Australia, Germany, Netherlands. It's like, I wish we had shows like you guys do. I wish we had retail product to even try to chase. I wish we had this. And it's like, I don't know what the demand is outside the country, outside the US, but I know it's there. I'm just curious to see how long it will take for Panini and eBay and PSA and whatever other companies to be able to bridge these countries to sports cards. So that's what makes me feel like super optimistic about the next couple of years anyway.
Yeah, well, Panini's I'm pretty sure it's a European company because Panini does in Europe. Yes. They just do stickers.
It's named after. Look, even a year later, I think to myself, why is it named Panini? Like if you Google Panini, a freaking sandwich pops up. That kind of bothers me, right? Like, what if it was like hoagie or BLT? Cheeseburger. Well, this is a cheeseburger LeBron James rookie card.
I only buy cheeseburger. All right, get out of here.
The official manufacturer of NBA is Cheeseburger.
All right, guys. I have to get my head right for this 10:30 game. Get all my son's juju.
Your haircut right?
Huh?
Your haircut right?
I've got to get my hair properly done and ready for this 10:30 game. So thanks everybody for joining. USFL, if you are watching, yes, Brad and I will take the job. We will be commentators.
And Great Value or Planters, if you're watching, Dustin really appreciates the sponsorship. There you go. He'll be munching on that all night as he watches the game. And we appreciate your free bag of pistachios. The Grazing Cow appreciates it as well.
Lastly, Big Daddy Cool. I don't buy a lot of wax, and I just don't collect baseball cards really at all. I do want to pick up some vintage stuff. I'm not going to be really choosy with it, but I would like to have a couple of nice vintage cards. But I'm not buying baseball. Brad, are you buying baseball wax?
Yeah, anticlimactic ending. No, zero baseball. I just don't know baseball. Off season, I'll probably get some Trouts like I did last year. That's it.
And on that note. GD always coming in hot at the end.
There it is.
Hey, I did this just for you, GD. I knew you'd be here watching to see if I was eating or not.
And he will be very shortly.
Yeah. I'm all self-conscious now thanks to this one viewer. Now.
No. Hey, but when we get
connect, even if it's bashing me, I'm good with it, GD. I'm good with it.
When Dustin signs like a $10,000 per month Planters sponsorship, he's going to have you, GD, to thank. So appreciate it. And Dustin will just send me like a bag of roasted peanuts every month.
Good stuff. Well, half the people just left the live stream, Brad. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off now before we really embarrass.
Before the other half leaves.
Yeah, okay. Before you really embarrass yourself more than you already have. All right, guys.
Keep myself a little bit, but anyway.
Suns Lakers. Let's go. All right. Talk to you later. We'll see you next week.
Nom nom nom.